Right now, someone is waking up at 5 a.m. to become the person they think they should be. They're tracking habits, reading productivity books, listening to podcasts about optimization. But here's what nobody tells you. The race has no finish line. Every morning routine becomes a prison. Every habit tracker becomes a judge. Every self-help book becomes another voice telling you who you're not. What if the problem isn't that you're broken? What if the problem is believing you need to be fixed? This isn't about giving up growth. It's about understanding why the smartest people in history warned us about the trap you're probably stuck in right now. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire, yet in his private journal, he didn't write about conquering more territory. He wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." Not improve your mind, not optimize your mind. Accept what's already there. The Stoics understood something we've forgotten. You're not a machine that needs upgrading. You're a human being who needs accepting. But we live in a world that treats people like smartphones, always needing the next update, the next feature, the next version. Epictetus was born a slave. He couldn't change his circumstances, but he discovered something revolutionary. Freedom isn't about changing your situation. It's about changing your relationship to it. He said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." This applies to self-improvement too. Contentment isn't about having the perfect life. It's about wanting less from the life you have. Soren Kierkegaard called it the sickness unto death. Not physical death, spiritual death. The death that comes from trying to be someone you're not. He watched people in Copenhagen rush around, chasing success, chasing improvement, chasing anything but themselves. And he realized most people never actually live. They just perform a role they think they should play. Kierkegaard wrote, "The most common form of despair is not being who you are." Think about that, not being who you are. How many mornings have you woken up trying to be someone else? How many books have you read not to understand yourself, but to escape yourself? The Danish philosopher saw that anxiety comes from trying to become something you're not, but peace comes from accepting what you are. Carl Jung spent his life studying the human mind, and he discovered something shocking. Your biggest problems aren't problems to be solved. They're parts of yourself you're trying to reject. Jung called it the shadow, everything you don't want to admit about yourself. The laziness, the selfishness, the fear, the confusion. Modern self-help tells you to eliminate these parts. Jung said the opposite, integrate them. One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, he wrote, but by making the darkness conscious. This is why all that positive thinking doesn't work long term. You're trying to paint over your darkness instead of understanding it. Jung discovered that wholeness doesn't come from becoming perfect. It comes from becoming complete. That includes the parts of you that productivity gurus tell you to eliminate. If this is hitting different than the usual self-help content, that's because it is. Hit like, share with someone who needs to hear this, and subscribe for more truth that cuts through the noise. Friedrich Nietzsche watched people follow rules they never chose, live dreams they never wanted, become versions of themselves they never questioned. He called it herd mentality. Nietzsche said the individual has always had to struggle not to be overwhelmed by the tribe. That includes the tribe of self-improvement. The tribe that says you must wake up at 5 a.m., meditate for 20 minutes, read 50 books a year. But Nietzsche asked, what if your authentic self doesn't fit that mold? He wrote, become who you are, not who you think you should be, not who society expects you to be, who you actually are. This is terrifying because it means you might have to disappoint people. You might have to quit the job that looks good on paper. You might have to stop the morning routine that makes you feel productive but not alive. Nietzsche understood The hardest thing isn't changing yourself, it's stopping the changes that aren't you. Jiddu Krishnamurti asked a simple question that destroyed entire libraries of self-help. Can you observe yourself without trying to change what you see? Just watch, don't fix, don't improve, don't optimize. This is radical in a world that treats every moment of discomfort as a problem to solve. Krishnamurti saw that the observer and the observed are the same. You are not separate from your thoughts, your feelings, your reactions. When you try to improve yourself, you're creating a split. There's the you who's judging and the you being judged. But what if there's just you? Krishnamurti taught, the moment you follow someone, you cease to follow truth. That includes following your own ideas about who you should become. Lao Tzu wrote the Tao Te Ching 2,500 years ago. It's still relevant because it addresses something timeless: the difference between forcing and flowing. The sage is guided by what he feels and not by what he sees, Lao Tzu wrote. Modern self-improvement is all about what you see, the vision board, the goal list, the ideal future self. But Taoism is about what you feel, the natural rhythm, the authentic impulse, the way things want to unfold. Water doesn't try to be water, it just is. Trees don't try to grow, they just do. But humans, we're the only species that tries to be something other than what we are. Lao Tzu taught, when people see some things as beautiful, other things become ugly. The moment you create an ideal self, you make your current self wrong. Simone de Beauvoir understood something about freedom that most people miss. True freedom isn't about having more choices, it's about choosing authentically. She wrote, one is not born but rather becomes a woman. But she wasn't talking about improvement, she was talking about awareness. Becoming conscious of the roles you've been handed, the expectations you've never questioned, the dreams you've adopted without asking if they're yours. De Beauvoir saw that most people are free in theory, but trapped in practice, trapped by their own ideas about who they should be. She said, the oppressor would not be so strong if he had not accomplices among the oppressed. Sometimes the oppressor is your own mind, and the accomplice is your belief that you're not enough as you are. Sigmund Freud discovered something uncomfortable. Most of your behavior is unconscious. That includes your obsession with self-improvement. Freud would ask, what are you really trying to escape by constantly trying to become better? Maybe it's not about becoming more productive. Maybe it's about avoiding the anxiety of being still. Maybe it's not about reading more books. Maybe it's about avoiding the silence where you'd hear your own thoughts. Freud understood that symptoms often serve a purpose. They protect you from something you're not ready to face. What if your need to constantly improve is protecting you from accepting who you already are? Arthur Schopenhauer wrote, all satisfaction, or what is commonly called happiness, is really and essentially always negative only and never positive. This sounds pessimistic, but it's actually liberating. Schopenhauer realized that happiness isn't something you achieve. It's something you uncover when you stop chasing it. He compared human desire to a pendulum, swing from want to boredom, boredom to want, never finding rest. But there's a third option, stepping off the pendulum entirely. This doesn't mean giving up goals, it means holding them lightly. Schopenhauer found peace not in getting what he wanted, but in questioning why he wanted it. Rumi, the 13th century Persian poet, understood something that modern psychology is just rediscovering. You are not broken, you are not incomplete, you are not a project. You were born with wings, Rumi wrote, why prefer to crawl through life? But here's the twist, the wings aren't something you develop, they're something you remember. Rumi's poetry is full of longing, but not for self-improvement, for self-recognition. What you seek is seeking you, he wrote. The peace you're looking for isn't in the next book, the next habit, the next version of yourself. It's in the recognition that you've always been what you're looking for. Zen Buddhism offers perhaps the most radical perspective on self-improvement. There is no self to improve. This isn't nihilism, it's freedom. The Buddha taught that suffering comes from attachment to how things should be, attachment to who you should become. But what if you're already whole? Zen Master Huang Po said, "Your everyday mind, that is the way." Not your perfect mind, not your optimized mind, your everyday, ordinary, beautifully imperfect mind. This is why meditation isn't about becoming peaceful, it's about recognizing the peace that's already there. Beneath all the noise, Aristotle distinguished between two types of knowledge. Episteme, knowledge about things, phronesis, wisdom about living. Most self-improvement gives you episteme, facts about productivity, habits, psychology. But wisdom isn't about knowing more, it's about being more to what you already know. Aristotle wrote about eudaimonia, often translated as happiness, but it's deeper than that. It's human flourishing, not despite your flaws, but including them. The good life isn't about eliminating your problems, it's about living fully with them. Here's what nobody tells you about self-improvement. The person you're trying to become already exists. Not in the future, not after you read 10 more books or develop 5 new habits. Right now, behind all the trying, beneath all the effort, under all the improvement, there you are, whole, complete, enough. The ancient Greeks had a word, metanoia. It's often translated as repentance, but it literally means change of mind. Not changing who you are, changing how you see who you are. You don't need to be fixed because you were never broken. You don't need to be improved because you were never insufficient. You don't need to become someone else because you've always been enough. The trap isn't that you're not improving fast enough. The trap is believing you need to improve to be worthy of your own life. You are already worthy. You always have been. Stop trying to become. Start being. That's not giving up. That's waking up.